The death of my dad has been one of the most tragic things I had to deal with in my life, if not the most toughest. And it's still a process 1 year and 1 month later. If you haven't watched the first part of this video, I encourage you to watch it because it actually shows you how vulnerable I was 4 months later of losing my dad. And this is part 2 of me right now, 1 year later of losing the most important person of my life. You know, I think it's really important to talk about such things because they're really essential for self-development. I feel this incident has really helped me develop as a person, and if you're a person that's going through the same, I hope it offers you something that you're looking for. So let me just say, things have never been the same since that incident. A lot of things have changed, and some may say it's for the better, but life overall has never been the same as it was before because the whole dynamic of how you live changes when you lose a person that you were so close to that you could never imagine your life without. So it's kind of a new phase in your life that you start by yourself, and essentially you have to get responsible in it. And that's what I had to do as well. I had to take care of my finances, I had to take care of myself emotionally. Being away from home in Australia and not being able to visit my family since has been very tough, and I had to deal with it. And to help me with it, initially I went into therapy, and that really helped me at the time. That was such a nice experience, which I never thought I would do, but it's so nice having like a third person hear your life story and you just figure out yourself through that story. You know, I wasn't doing well with my studies at the time, obviously, because I had, you know, this mountain of a thing over me, and COVID hit. We were forced to be home, and it was just not great at the time. I have come a long way since. It's still hard, but not in the same way. You know, in the first part of this video, I mentioned that, you know, no day has gone by without me thinking of him, and that's still true. I still think about him every day. I no longer have the fear of forgetting him because I literally remember him all the time, every day, in everything I do, and in every event, in every big, small thing that happens. He's always at the back of my head. I have started to tell people about it. I am able to talk about it without tearing up or breaking down. At first, I wasn't comfortable telling people because I thought it would make it too real. But that just delays the whole process of you getting through it. And I'm not saying rush it. I'm not saying start telling people if you're not ready. But that's what happens, because for the longest time I was struggling with it internally and I wasn't exhibiting it. I'm glad I started telling people about my story, and I have been able to talk to so many people that have helped me, you know, deal with this fact of losing a loved one, because a lot of other people have lost their loved ones as well, but people just don't talk about it. But when you do talk about it, you get to listen how tragic it is for everyone. Like one of the persons I talked to, he lost his dad because of a heart attack. His dad had no conditions whatsoever. He just went to bed one day and never woke up. And you know, you hear tragic stories like that, and it doesn't make yours any less tragic, don't get me wrong, but it comforts you in a way that, you know, you're not the only person that it's happening to. You know, it happens all the time, and it's shitty, but it happens, you know. It is a part of life. I still bawl my eyes out when it hits me that he's not really here. It especially hits you on special occasions and tough times. Special moments are happy, and that makes you realize how you can't really share it with the person. In tough times, you feel like, you know, if they were there, they would have been able to guide you through it or help you. I have to say, I never really thought I'd be filming a 1 year later video so casually, because I just thought I'd be a train wreck by now. I could not figure out my life without my dad at the time. 4 months later, 6 months later, even 7 months later, and still it's hard, you know. I have my dark times where it's really hard to pull yourself out of that pit you put yourself into. I guess you start to figure out life after, and there's no time to look back and acknowledge what really happened. To be honest, I have been keeping myself really busy because I don't want to deal with the fact, you know, there's this void inside of you that you know is there, but you can't do anything about it. It's always going to be there. And you can fill it up with things that you like YouTube and writing, like I do. But still, it's not enough. You know, your life has completely changed. If you make bad decisions through your grieving process, it's normal. Everyone does. But I still hope you take care of yourself. I still hope that you don't lose yourself. And I always think, you know, he wouldn't like that. He wouldn't like if I went off the tracks and, you know, just didn't take care of myself. Right now, I'll be sharing my reaction with you guys of reading the letter that I wrote to my dad on Father's Day in my first video. And I still think I really love it. I read it a couple of times after I wrote it. I think I read it a couple months after I wrote it, and I still loved it. You know, just having those feelings recorded for him is really special to me, because that makes me realize how I felt at the time, and I still am able to feel like that just by reading it. So I encourage you to write that happiness journal where you record all the happy moments with your loved one. In a diary, write a letter to them when you think times are really tough. It was actually another journal that I have, and they both look kind of the same. They have the same colors, so I was a bit confused. And this one's a bit dusty. I haven't touched it in a long time, so this shall be interesting. I found it. Kind of opens up all of the emotions, I must say, because I remember when I wrote it and I was very, very down at the time, and I think it's important to acknowledge that as well and see how far you've come. To my dearest dad, first of all, I miss you a lot every day. Still true. I don't know where I'm finding this strength to go on with life without you, but that's what I learned from you as well. I'm already tearing up a bit because I know how I felt at the time, and I still feel that way. You were the greatest teacher and bestest Santa Claus, because remember, I'm born on Christmas, so he was my Santa Claus. You always fulfilled my every wish, and that's not easy. It takes a strong man to put others' wishes before them. I am here now, and I miss you every night. I actually remember the nights were the worst part, because I'd always cry myself to sleep and think about him, and eventually dream about him most nights and have nightmares and miss him a lot throughout the day as well. And you know, we were in lockdown, there wasn't much to do, so it was a bit too intense. I like your strong personality and confidence. I still do. I still admire it. I like your intellect and caring nature, even towards people who didn't deserve it. Next page. I love you, in capital letters, all in caps. You are my hero, my inspiration. Love, Yeshivo. That's what he used to call me. And I didn't mention this in my previous video, but one of the things he told me to remember when I met him in the hospital was that, he told me, if there's one thing you want to remember of me throughout your life, remember to never leave your goal. Never leave sight of your goals. And I can't even believe how that has turned out to be so effective in my life right now, because as you guys know, I make videos on productivity and reaching your goals. So I'm glad I took that advice from him and I'm doing what I love. And it makes me happier, and I think he knew that. And I go on saying thank you for everything. And remember the last snippet, and I'm glad I'm working on myself and developing as a person through that incident and beyond, practicing self-care and wellness and including that as part of my life and the way that I live. If you want me to keep updating you guys on this journey that I'm on, let me know by liking this video, and I'll be happy to make videos, especially if it helps someone to go through the same thing or gives you a bit of an insight or perspective into this whole part of life. And if you are someone who went through the same thing or are going through the same thing, struggling with something, just DM me and we can start a conversation. Yeah, just take care of yourself. I'll see you next time.